everybody, welcome back to another shelf review in the Dice Tower Library. Today we're taking a look at one of the most popular shelves in the Dice Tower Library. There's just a lot of games here. This shelf has been empty before, not completely empty I think, but there's just a lot of very popular games here. So we'll start with a game that I like a lot, and therefore two copies are in the library. We have Cosmic Encounter. Now we got two copies of it because one of these copies has everything in it. You know, there is well, not everything actually. I took out some of the aliens that I don't prefer to play with. I couldn't fit everything in it, so I had to pick some aliens to cut. And then the other one is basically just a base version of the game. So you can just, if you're just starting out. But Cosmic Encounter, the game of negotiation, betrayal, and everything else, a fantastic game, and I'm glad to have it in the library. Then we have Sierra West. Now, Sierra West from Board and Dice, and you'll notice that a good chunk of the games on this shelf are from Board and Dice. This one is a game I have not played yet. I've heard really good things about it, and as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, why haven't I played this one yet? Z reviewed it for us and liked it, and I know a lot of people enjoyed it. It got played quite a bit when it first came out. It's cooled a bit for now, but I still know that there's multiple ways to play the game. There's like it's like a Euro game, but it has different rules each time. Then we have Exodus Proxima Centauri. This is the second edition of it from NSKN, which has turned into Boards and Dice. And this is one of those things where I thought that this game would be more popular. I thought the third edition of it would come out, and it hasn't. I tend to like space exploration games, 4X games, and this is one of my favorites in that genre. Oh well, even though I'm pretty much the only person who likes this one, or it's still in the library because I think some people would enjoy it. Then we have Dice Settlers. Now, Dice Settlers has a pretty terrible name, and I think it's one of the reasons it's not as popular, but I think it's a pretty solid game. Dice Settlers, where you're rolling dice, you're pulling dice from a bag and using those dice as you kind of explore around a landscape that builds. Come to think of it, the game isn't that pretty either, but it's a really solid game. A lot of fun as you get to pick the different dice, and every game has different scoring conditions. It's really worth trying out, and it's definitely in this NSKN heavier Euro style game. But I mean, the kings and queens of this series are what we call the T games, and here they are in all their glory. So I'm going to mispronounce all of them. So here we have Tawantinsuyu, the Incan Empire. This is the newest of the series, and I think it's actually probably the least known. I mean, there's definitely, I said it was decent, okay, and I got shouted down. There was a lot of people who did enjoy it, but it clearly isn't getting as much love as the other ones. That being said, I know some people really like it. It is kind of funky that it has this primary action and a secondary action, and the secondary action is usually more important than the primary action, but that's just semantics. But hey, it's here in the library. Next to it's Tekhenu. Now this is the second newest. It and Tawantinsuyu came out the same year, this one here where there's a shadow of an obelisk that is moving around the board. I think this one, a lot of people like it because it is, it's very mechanical. There's a lot of things going on. There's some cool technology in this one, but the shadow dice mechanism is good. The only disadvantage of this game is you only have a small amount of actions you're taking over the whole course of the game, and occasionally you take one of those actions as a minor, doesn't do much action. Next to it is Tzolk'in. Tzolk'in's the granddaddy of this series, the most famous probably, with its big gears. I had two copies in. I just pulled one out because I don't think I need to. We'll see how well that works. But this one here saw worker placement, one of the highest ranked games in the Dice Tower library, and a lot of people enjoy it. But I think the most popular of this series, or at least the most popular right now, is Teotihuacan, City of the Gods here. And you can see I have two copies of this one, which is a giant rondel type game where you're moving dice around the outside, taking actions. Very popular game. It works well with 2 to 4 players. Well, I guess you can play solo too, but the 2 to 4 player version of it works really well. I enjoy this one every time. This is probably my favorite of this series. I also have mine upgraded to the 9s here. Then the least well known of this series, and possibly the most complex, Trismegistus, which is about alchemy, and this is a kind of a bear to learn Trismegistus. I think it's the most difficult of all of them, but it is rewarding. There's a lot of cool things going on. I enjoy it. I just kind of, if you said, hey, will you teach this to us? I'd be like, oh man, there's a lot going on in it. It has some weird, funky symbols on the alchemy dice. But other than that, I think it's a really good, solid game. Then, tie with Wingspan, probably for the most popular and played games in the Dice Tower collection, is Quacks of Quedlinburg. Quacks of Quedlinburg, a bag pulling, push your luck style game. It's a fantastic game. I just played it actually a week or so ago. The second expansion for it just came out. I have not played that yet, but I do know that people like this one. It's, of course, part of this is the upgraded components. The original cardboard tokens that you pull from the bag aren't that fantastic. The chunky plastic ones that Board Game Geek sold, and some people use coin counters, coin protectors. It's a really neat game, though, despite needing to upgrade it with those pieces, and it just keeps getting played and played and played. We'll see if it's still going to maintain 3 copies after this year, but I suspect you will see this one played a lot more. So on this shelf, well, for me, obviously, my favorite game here is Cosmic Encounter, although there's a lot of excellent games on this shelf. Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been taking a look at another shelf in the Dice Tower Library.